I'm going to cut straight to the chase. If you aren't in my Discord server, you're missing out severely. The best alpha in crypto takes place within these channels, including coin discussions, market analysis, degen behavior, and more. It's completely free and I look forward to speaking with you inside. Yo people, I hope you are doing well. Welcome back to another video. If you have been subbed to my channel for a while now, you may remember I made a video on a project last year called Devve. Devve piqued my interest as a unique layer 1 in crypto, and fundamentally it's pretty distinct from other established layer 1 coins. Today I'm going to make an updated video on Devve as the recent price action has been extremely bullish. There are rumors of some massive developments on the way and it's boding well for 2025 to be a huge year for the coin. So to begin with, let's take a look at the website updated from last time. Looks kinda intriguing. I'm assuming the tree and the storm in the background is supposed to represent the ESG side of the project, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, unlocking global digital assets, every asset, every market, the world's fastest, smartest, most scalable and affordable layer 1. Lots of strong taglines to live up to here. Further down, we can see how Devve is separating themselves from the herd, combining blockchain and offering a platform for tokenization, asset creating, ownership, and seamless transfers. Their tech is built for compliance, scalability, and security, with global patents and allegedly the fastest transaction speeds for any layer 1. This will all be very appealing to both institutions and governments. The reason why I say this is because there is a growing clampdown on ESG legislation on a global scale. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance, and basically, institutes will be required to adhere to ESG compliance and regulations in the future. I've not seen the ESG narrative at all in crypto aside from in Devve, so if there is a layer 1 out there which is compliant and institute friendly, it sets itself apart quite nicely. I found some quick stats which are worth running through. So Devve claims 8 million TPS, which is just absurdly fast. For context, Solana at its peak is capable of 65,000. This means that on paper, Devve is over 100 times faster than Sol, which is just mind-blowing. This is the second fastest TPS I have seen in crypto, second only to Cubic. We've got sub-second finality and being 10 million times cheaper than Ethereum 2, whilst also using 1/3 billionth of the energy Bitcoin uses. Sorry, that's a really weird word. So already on paper, it's quicker, cheaper, and more energy efficient than the 3 biggest coins in crypto. So it improves on some of the biggest critiques in the top 3 coins as well. And an interesting one at the end here too, the only ISO compliant green cryptocurrency. This could be huge as it again makes Devve attractive to banks, governments, and large companies adhering to the same global standards that they use. This also makes it eco-friendly, of course, and has a significant regulatory advantage which, as crypto becomes more and more regulated in the future, speaks for itself. On top of all of that, we've also got a lot of patents here on architecture, fraud, theft, privacy, regulatory compliance, cross-jurisdictional compliant. What this says to me is should any institutes require any of these or are looking specifically for any of this intellectual property, they will almost be forced to use Devve, which is a sign of a good business model. To touch on the tech very quickly, I know some of you don't care, but some of you do care, hence why I try to cover all the bases in my videos. Very simply put, Devve doesn't use proof of work like Bitcoin or proof of stake like Ethereum. It uses something called proof of validation, which is more efficient and faster than the aforementioned blockchains and allows Devve to cut on the costs and energy consumption. Without going into too much detail on the comparisons, I'll create and insert a table which compares the algorithms so you can clearly and simply see the differences for yourself. Feel free to pause the video and check it out. Devve also uses sharding technology within this too, which instead of having a single blockchain, breaks it up into smaller pieces called shards. These individual shards each act like a mini blockchain, each process their own transactions, and therefore allow Devve to be very fast and extremely scalable. I've seen this tech used in a couple other crypto projects too, most notably one of my favorites, Quill. One of the most exciting developments on the horizon for Devve is the launch of their own exchange, which they call the first true non-custodial exchange. If you don't know what that means, basically you are fully in control of your own assets at all times. A lot of exchanges these days aren't fully non-custodial, so this in itself is very appealing. Then they say that they are in advanced negotiations with sovereign states to host the first shards. Again, I don't know what these states are, but it adds further geographic decentralization, regulatory adaptation within different regions, and of course increases adoption, bridging potential cultural, language, and compliance needs, and so on. Then we got industry leading partnerships too. There's a lot of noise around this one at the moment. I'll go into more detail later on, but you combine all of this with what we've already discussed, the TPS, the energy efficiency, the ESG compliance, all of that, and you can see why the ceiling is so high for Devve and how it could be the perfect ecosystem to bridge old traditional finance with the new decentralized finance. The tokenomics for Devve are definitely interesting and, in my opinion, contributed heavily to the price action. To keep it simple, their max total supply is 300 million. This is split into two halves. The first 150 million, we can see the breakdown here. Note this token was not fair launched and there were multiple private and public rounds going as far back as 2018. 7 years ago, which is, crazy. All in all, they were getting in at around a price of 30 to 40 cents. I'll explain how this isn't as big a deal as I initially thought later on. And I was told by the team that token unlocks and vesting were completed on the 7th of November 2024, so we don't have to worry about any further dumps for the time being. Then we got the typical marketing, exchanges, liquidity and team allocations too. This is all pretty common. The second 150 million is assigned to the Forever Association. This is a non-profit Swiss fund dedicated to supporting high potential ESG startups. It says these tokens will typically not enter circulating supply unless they are purchased by governments, large enterprises or fund managers that will often be subjected to long-term staking schedules of up to 10 years. The tokens could also be used in extenuating circumstances such as providing liquidity to the best exchanges. There is also mention of potentially increasing the supply to 2.1 billion in the future. Whilst this is unlikely, they do a good job of saying that it isn't for financial gain or anything like that. Many successful projects have some form of inflation built in, which can be good for the token economy. My guess is if Devve reaches high levels of success amongst the institutes, governments, etc., more tokens would obviously be required. But of course, initial reactions from investors is potential dilution, which Devve is aware of. I think things would have to be going extraordinarily well for this to even be considered, which is, a good thing for early investors, such as ourselves potentially. They have a fully doxed team, as you'd expect with a project like this, and LinkedIn profiles are available through their website. There are many team members with good experience across blockchain, Web3, ESG, tech, finance, a good spread. The community is solid, 34,000 on X with regular tweets from the team. Their followers seem to have decreased in the last year, but they could have been bot accounts, so I wouldn't read too much into that. There are also over 30,000 in the Telegram, which is very impressive for any crypto project. So going more into speculation here, reading between the lines of the mentioned industry-leading partnerships, I have seen some huge names thrown out there. Whether it's purely speculation, whether it's people in the know, whether it's leaked news, I have no clue, but something has stirred Devve into rallying hard the last couple months, and it could be a combination of things. A huge partnership with a TradeFi giant, which is traditional finance, has been insinuated heavily. Now, the names that I've seen mentioned, I've seen Nasdaq, I've seen Robinhood, I've seen firms like Charles Schwab, even BlackRock get mentioned. I have no clue who or what it is, but something tells me it's going to be huge, because again, reading into what we've seen so far, if Devve is going to be the project to bridge the gap and appeal to institutes, that cannot rule anyone out. If it is officially announced and it does turn out to be a monumental partnership, the price we're at today will be laughable. This is definitely something to keep on your radar. So to sum everything up and keep it simple, Devve is a layer 1 blockchain designed to empower DeFi whilst integrating RWAs into the blockchain ecosystem. The project aims to create a platform where both dApps and real-world financial assets can coexist and interact seamlessly, offering scalable, secure, and innovative financial products. The key standouts are, of course, it's a layer 1, which is very fast, cheap, and scalable. It has the integration of real-world assets, be it through real estate, commodities, or traditional financial products. It's one of the few blockchains that integrates ESG principles and ethical investing, which could open the doors to investors looking for compliant options. And the upcoming partnerships with sovereign states and leading companies is a huge vote of confidence for the project and again raises the bar of how successful it could be. And that brings me on to price analysis. Right now it's $1.40, giving Devve a market cap of around 120 million. Not large at all. I made one of, if not the first YouTube video on Devve back in February last year, and the coin did pump up to around $2. Now, let me explain this chart. I put it down to two things. One, the markets were pretty terrible to alts, and in particular, utility coins all of 2024. Most projects bled after the April-March pump. Devve in particular suffered due to the vesting for tokenomics, and that's the second point. I believe around 10 million tokens were released every month to early investors, and I remember mentioning last year that this would have an obvious downside pressure on the price, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. I mentioned in the summer to avoid buying Devve as the pressure showed no signs of stopping, and that's exactly what happened. We went below the pre-sale prices comfortably and bottomed at around 15 cents in September. This brings me on to why I don't believe the private sales will have as big an effect on price. It seems to me as though the majority of the dumping has already taken place, going from, $2 to 15 cents, and therefore we've had a transfer of wealth and capital amongst wallet holders. That is why we got this, smiley face pattern going on here, which really took off in November, once the token unlock stopped and market conditions turned more favorable. I also believe the rumors of an upcoming partnership and the launch of Devve Exchange played into the revival, but it is really incredible. If you caught the lows or, DCA down all the way here, then yeah, congrats to you. Devve can be bought on Uniswap, Mexi and Gate. Of course, I'd like to see some tier 1 exchanges come through, but when they launch their own exchange and that goes well, then, who knows what the plans are. Nonetheless, making it more accessible to retail and institutes is always beneficial. So price prediction, this ecosystem is basically a baby, very early stages. On paper, it has a lot going for it. Let's not undersell 8 million TPS, 10 million times cheaper than Ethereum and a lot more efficient energy-wise than Bitcoin. I'm not going to say that number again. But being one of the few ESG compliant cryptos with the patents it has, it's extremely appealing to institutions. And that is who I believe the target market for Devve is. That doesn't mean retail can't use it, of course not, but I believe in the future this is and will be very institute friendly. And if we're appealing to governments and large corporations, does a market cap of 100 million sound appropriately priced to you? I didn't think so. We haven't had time to see what else is in store. RWA is a given, and you guys know how strong I believe that narrative to be. Second only to AI. But in this ecosystem, anything can happen. Smart contracts are integrated already, I believe, so we could start to see developers building on the Devve layer. RWA, gaming, DeFi, privacy, pretty much anything with the tech it has. We've seen what happened last cycle with layer 1s, AVAX, Matic, Solana, BNB. What about the new institute-friendly tech? Would anyone really be surprised if Devve started swimming with the big boys? I prefer to go conservative with some of my predictions. 10x is certainly possible. $15, $1 billion market cap. In a bull run, that's nothing. However, looking at the larger multiples, the 50x, the 100x, can Devve reach $6 billion, $12 billion in market cap? For this cycle, that might be a stretch depending on greater market conditions. Of course, anything can happen though, and there will be a few coins this cycle that go on those ridiculous sprees, just like Matic, Luna, Solana, etc. from previous years. We just got to wait to see what the team have in store for us. An exciting partnership or partnerships and the launch of the exchange may be all that's required to propel this project as the next hottest thing. Maybe worth buying a bag at these levels if it interests you, but remember, as always, that ain't financial advice. But that's the video on Devve wrapped up, people. I hope you got a better understanding of the project and its potential. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate the ongoing support. Join the Discord, it's completely free, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.